We've all heard of Banff, Niagara Falls, Whistler as the most remarkable places in Canada.
But did you know that Canada has sand dunes as impressive as the Sahara Desert?
Or lakes that look like the Caribbean.
Or rock formations so bizarre they've been used as movie sets for Mars.
I bet you've never heard of half of these places, and if you haven't, let us know in the comments.
Let's start with those dunes we've mentioned. In the heart of Saskatchewan's prairie landscape, you will find some mind-blowing Sahara-like landscapes, the Great Sand Hills. Those are massive sand dunes in the Great Sand Hills Ecological Reserve, stretching over 1,900 square kilometers. We're all used to the typical Canadian rolling hills covered in grass, but these are 20-meter-high sand dunes that constantly shift and change with tiniest streams of wind. As a result, our cold country gets to experience African desert vibes and landscapes. It's also home to the rare plants like sand cherry and animals you won't see anywhere else in Canada. Take a look at this stylish gentleman, or this young lady, or this mister. The indigenous Cree people call this area the Singing Sands, because of the haunting sounds the dunes make when the wind moves through them. And when you are standing on top of these massive dunes, watching the sand ripple endlessly toward the horizon, you will understand why this place feels so magical. You can explore these singing sands on foot with guided nature hikes while learning about the unique ecosystem. This area is home to species like the burrowing owl or loggerhead shrike that you won't find anywhere else in Canada. For thrill seekers, sandboarding down the steeper dunes offers an adrenaline rush that feels like snowboarding, but in the middle of the prairies, and you don't need to go to Dubai to experience it. Photography enthusiasts love it for sunrise and sunset shots when the dunes glow gold and orange, creating some of the most surreal landscape photography opportunities in the country. The best part is that you can access much of the area by regular vehicle, making it one of the most accessible hidden gems on our list. Another place that's just as gorgeous but a lot harder to access is Athabasca Dunes, accessible only by air, with the closest city with the nuclear name Uranium City. These dunes are Canada's largest active sand dunes, spanning across 100 kilometers. These dunes are also the highest in Canada, reaching 30 meters high. If you're into wilderness, this is the adventure to take this summer.
Let's move from the desert vibes to something that looks more like a fairy tale. Abraham Lake in Alberta is gorgeous in the summer, but it becomes one of the most surreal places on Earth during winter. Beneath the crystal clear frozen surface, you'll see thousands of frozen methane bubbles trapped in ice that look like things only limited by your imagination. Oh look, this is a jellyfish! And this looks like a winter forest trapped under the ice. These bubbles form when organic matter on the lake bottom releases methane gas. As the lake freezes, layer by layer throughout the winter, the bubbles get trapped at different depths. And this creates this incredible three-dimensional natural art installation. The lake literally glows from within during the golden hour, and it's so otherworldly that many people think that the photos are heavily edited. But this is 100% natural Canadian magic. Even though the lake is not fully natural. This lake is man-made, sitting on top of a former valley, so the bottom of it is filled with vegetation and organic debris. And that's exactly why we can see these funky bubbles. The organic matter is decaying, releasing bubbles. And when the winter comes, the high altitude, mixed with the perfect freezing conditions, is what lets the lake freeze in perfect visual layers. Most natural mountain lakes don't have the same combination of ingredients, and that's what makes this phenomenon so uniquely visible and photogenic. The prime time to visit this place is from December to March. That's when the ice is thick enough for ice walking tours. Local guides also offer photography workshops specifically focused on capturing these bubble formations, teaching us the best angles and lighting techniques. You can also try ice fishing right above the frozen sculptures, or take cross-country skiing trips along the shoreline. Oh, and don't forget to grab your skates for ice skating right on the lake. And if after all you've just seen, winter is still not your thing, then come visit during summer. The area transforms into a hiking and camping paradise with trails leading to waterfalls, cascading down from the surrounding peaks. You can take boat tours on the lake or try your hand at regular fishing, or explore the nearby mountain viewpoints. Some tour companies even offer helicopter rides that give you aerial perspectives of both summer lake and winter bubbles, depending on when you visit.
Not all lakes in Canada have crystal blue water. Some lakes, at least one in particular, looks like a back of a sleeping alien. This is Spotted Lake in British Columbia. Some say it looks like it was painted by a visionary artist. To me, it looks like floating gummy bears in a sea of milk. In either way, this is probably the most bizarre lake in Canada. This is a saline endorheic alkali lake. During summer, this saline lake evaporates, leaving behind hundreds of mineral-rich pools in shades of yellow, green, and blue. Each spot contains different concentrations of minerals like magnesium, sulfate, calcium, and sodium sulfate, and this creates a natural color palette that changes throughout the season. There's even some levels of silver and titanium in this lake. The indigenous Okanagan people consider this lake sacred, calling it Kiluk. For centuries, it has been revered as a powerful medicine lake, believed to hold healing properties in its mineral-rich waters. According to oral history, even warriors from different nations would call temporary truces to bathe here, tending their wounds and honoring the lake's spiritual power. During World War I, the minerals from this lake were harvested and used to manufacture ammunition, which is a fascinating and somewhat ironic piece of history for such a peaceful-looking place. The indigenous peoples did not tolerate this for too long. They purchased the lake from some rich, greedy family who wanted to build a spa here, and it is now a cultural and ecologically protected area. While the lake itself is on private land and protected, out of respect for its cultural significance, you can still get incredible views from Highway 3, with dedicated roadside parking areas. The best time to visit the lake is during summer, typically August and September, when these funky spots are most defined and colorful. You can also purchase local photography tours. They always include stops here as part of their larger Okanagan Valley expeditions. But it's not just the lake itself that's sightseeing worthy. You can visit the nearby Osoyoos Desert Center for guided tours of Canada's only true desert ecosystem. If you want more rattlesnakes, scorpions, and cacti in your life, that's the place. And yes, you can find all these in Canada. The region is also famous for wine tourism, so you can combine your Spotted Lake visit with tastings at world-class wineries.
Let's move up north into some serious wilderness territory. This territory is so wild that it's nicknamed Valley of the Headless Man, after a series of unsolved historical deaths in the park. We're talking about the Nahani National Park, located in the Northwest Territories. It is a wilderness area, 4 times the size of Prince Edward Island. Designated in 1978 as one of the world's first UNESCO World Heritage Sites, this national park goes through a dramatic corridor of Mackenzie Mountains. Its South Nahani River slices through 4 canyons nearly 1,000 meters deep, cascading over 96-meter-high Virginia Falls and flowing past surreal tufa mounds at Rabbit Kettle Hot Springs. This is the most picturesque and wild wilderness that one could get in the entire world. The legendary South Nahani River cuts through canyons so deep that they create their own weather systems. Waterfalls that dwarf Niagara and mountain ranges that remain largely unexplored by humans even today. The park is most famous among serious adventurers from multi-day canoe expeditions down the South Nahani River. These aren't casual weekend paddle trips. These are the 10 to 21-day expeditions through Class 4 rapids, past 1,000-meter canyon walls, and alongside natural hot springs where you can soak after days of paddling. Okay, now I am starting to understand the Valley of the Headless nickname here. The river journey includes Virginia Falls, which we'll talk about more later, and ends at the village of Nahani Butte, a place with a rich cultural and historical significance. And if a 3-week canoe expedition sounds a little intense, then you can experience the park through scenic flights that give you aerial views of the entire river system and mountain ranges. These flights often include landings at remote hot springs or viewpoints that are otherwise impossible to reach. The park is also home to incredible wildlife. If lucky, you'll get to see grizzly bears, woodland caribou, Dall sheep, and golden eagles. The indigenous Dean people have called this area home for thousands of years, so learning about their culture and traditions is a must-do when you're there. The sheer remoteness of this place means that you might not see another person for days, giving you a true sense of what the world looked like before concrete jungles, plastic, and pollution.
Alberta has landscapes so alien it's been used as backdrops for Mars in Hollywood movies. It also has one of the richest dinosaur fossil spots in the world. 58 dinosaur species and over 500 other ancient species have been discovered at the park that is rightfully called Dinosaur Provincial Park. But the most immediate thing you notice is the badlands that look like they've been sculptured by wind on another planet. These layered rock formations known as hoodoos create a maze of canyons, ridges and valleys painted in shades of red, orange and brown. They change throughout the day as the light shifts and create some of the most photogenic landscapes in Canada. But beneath the surface lay 75 million old fossils of creatures we are only now learning existed. So by visiting this place, you're literally walking through a landscape where Tyrannosaurus rex and dozens of other prehistoric giants once roamed. If you're like me and are fascinated by dinosaurs, the park offers several types of guided fossil tours where you might discover dinosaur bones. The basic interpretive programs teach us how to identify fossils and show us the incredible diversity of life that existed here millions of years ago. For the more adventurous, they offer restricted area tours that take you into active dig sites, where paleontologists are making new discoveries every season. During summer months, the park runs incredible programs where visitors can participate in actual paleontological digs alongside researchers. You can learn proper excavation techniques, and you might even help uncover a fossil that could end up in museums. The park also offers night photography workshops that take advantage of some of the darkest skies in Alberta, so you can perfectly capture the Milky Way above these Martian-looking hoodoos. If you're there, check out the Royal Tyrrell Museum Field Station. It displays fossils found right in these badlands, including complete dinosaur skeletons. You will see specimens that were discovered just a few meters from where you are standing. And this is pretty incredible and a great way to connect with our prehistoric past and make it more tangible than you've ever felt.
Somewhere in the Gulf of St. Lawrence, there is an advanced land where we catch bears. For laymen, it's known as the Anticosti Island. It's Quebec's largest island and one of Canada's best-kept secrets. This nearly 8,000 square kilometer wilderness territory is nearly 220 kilometers long and about 50 kilometers wide, which makes it larger than Canada's smallest province. Only about 1,000 people visited Anticosti Island last year, and it was recently designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2023 for its extraordinary geological value and abundance of pristine fossils. What makes Anticosti truly extraordinary is its wild, untamed beauty, like beaches carved out by the wind for centuries, lush forests of aromatic spruce and aspen, and isolated waterfalls that feel like something out of the land before time. The island has even earned a nickname, the Graveyard of the Gulf, because over 400 ships have met their end on the reefs surrounding it, adding an element of maritime mystery to its natural purity. The crown jewel of Anticosti is Boreal Falls, a magnificent 76-meter waterfall that's accessible via a 10-kilometer round-trip hike through lush forests along the Boreal River. As you explore the canyons surrounding the falls, you can find over 600 identified fossils, with every vertical meter of rock walls accounting for 15,000 years of marine deposits. When you finally reach the waterfall, you'll get to experience a dramatic 76-meter waterfall, which oftentimes gets compared to Niagara Falls, except these falls also offer solitude and untamed terrain. And specifically because this area is so remote with minimal human impact, wildlife sightings are incredibly common. You're more likely to see a white-tailed deer than people. You can also explore Grotte à la Patate, a potato cave, one of the longest caves in Quebec at 625 meters deep. Or you can take a stroll along the coast and discover ancient fossils embedded in coastal rocks. You might just find a rare, soft-bodied species from a mass extinction 400 million years ago. How cool is that? You can also take the romantic Bella de Gagny freighter ferry that serves far-flung ports along the St. Lawrence River. The island's main season runs from June to August, with limited service afterward. So, if you need a little bit of remote and pristine magic in your life, this might just be the place.
If you've ever wanted to know what the Earth's mantle feels like, this next location is probably the closest you can get to it. Grossmoor National Park is another UNESCO World Heritage Site located in Newfoundland. This 1,800 square kilometer park was awarded World Heritage status, specifically because it's a rare example of the process of continental drift, where deep ocean crust and the rock of the Earth's mantle lie exposed. This, as a result, lets you literally walk on the Earth's mantle here. The park's most famous feature is the tablelands, probably specifically because it's not the site that you would expect to see in Newfoundland. It looks like a dead desert, but it's not. These striking orange-hued rocks are actually Earth's ancient mantle, exposed through geological processes when tectonic plates collided 500 million years ago. When you walk on these rocks, you walk on the ocean floor of millions of years ago. This park is one of the few places on Earth where this is possible. The wonders of this national park don't stop here. Western Brook Pond is a landlocked freshwater fjord carved by ancient glaciers, with sheer cliffs and waterfalls tumbling over 600 meters. As the water plunges down those rock faces, it turns to mist before it touches the surface, giving the entire valley a quiet, almost mystical atmosphere. You can take a spectacular 2-hour boat tour through this iconic fjord with its 1.2 billion-year-old cliffs. And make sure you dip your limbs in the water, because this water is so pure it's assigned the highest purity rating available for natural bodies of water. If you're like us and love hiking, then hiking to the summit of Grossmoor Mountain is a must for those who love a good scramble. It's a challenging 16-kilometer loop that takes you 500 meters up to the Arctic Alpine Plateau, and you get to see breathtaking views of the long-range mountains. Grossmoor National Park isn't just scenic, it's a playground for geology lovers and the curious-minded. Where else can you walk across the remnants of an ancient ocean floor, stand on cliffs that formed 1 billion years ago, and trace the scars of continents colliding? At Green Point, the layers of rock don't just look dramatic, they are internationally recognized as a reference point for Earth's early history, complete with 500 million-year-old fossils. It's like flipping through the planet's autobiography, page by stone-carved page.
Now, picture sharp granite peaks that look like ancient tombstones piercing the sky, surrounded by valleys. And all that is painted in impossible shades of red, orange, and gold. That's Tombstone Territorial Park in Yukon. The landscape here is so dramatic that it feels like you've wandered into the pages of The Lord of the Rings. The park sits along the famous Dempster Highway, one of Canada's most remote roads that connects Dawson City to Inuvik in the Northwest Territories. But don't let the highway access fool you into thinking that this place is easy to explore. The moment you step off the road, you're in absolute wilderness territory. This is where some of the most spectacular hiking in the Canadian Arctic begins. The Tombstone Mountains, nicknamed the Patagonia of the North, offer trails that lead through a stunning mix of boreal forests, tundra, and rugged alpine valleys. As you take on the Tombstone Mountain Trail, you'll hike past wildflowers, glacial moraines, and icy creeks before stumbling upon the jaw-dropping views, with the sharp granite peaks that rise like ancient spires of Middle-earth. For seasoned hikers, multi-day backpacking routes get you really deep into the wilderness, where you can dip into crystal-clear alpine lakes that reflect the Tombstone peaks. And the only sound that you'll hear is the wind carving across untouched ridgelines. September is when Tombstone explodes in colors, so vibrant that they seem unreal. This is when photographers from around the world make the pilgrimage to capture what many consider the most beautiful autumn scenery on Earth. This park sits above the Arctic Circle, and that means one thing. During summer, the sun never sets. You get 24 hours of daylight, opening the door to non-stop exploration. Imagine hiking at midnight under a glowing sky, or capturing golden hour photos at 2 a.m. This phenomenon unlocks a kind of freedom that most places on Earth can't really offer. It's a chance to experience the wild on your own schedule, in one of the very few regions on the planet where the days never end. The area is part of the traditional territory of the Chondek-Hwetchen First Nation, so taking guided cultural tours to learn more about indigenous connections to this landscape is a must to truly embrace this place. If you're into gold digging, you'll appreciate that this place has its place in the Klondike gold rush history. So you can totally try your luck in looking for gold in one of the creeks here. Some areas still produce small amounts of gold, and finding even tiniest flakes will connect you directly to this fascinating period of Canadian history.
This next destination is literally out of this world, not just because it's really far, but also because it was created from the outer space. Pingui Crater in northern Quebec is a perfectly circular lake formed by a meteorite impact 1.4 million years ago. It's a glimpse into the universe's ancient history. It's 400 meters deep, which makes it deeper than 4 of the Great Lakes. What makes Pingui truly extraordinary, though, is its water. Fed only by rain and snow, it's so pure and clear it's often described as naturally distilled. It's easy to spot on the map from above, because it looks like a giant blue eye staring at you from the tundra. That is exactly what the Inuit call it, the Crystal Eye of Nunavik. During the World War II, pilots would use it as a navigation landmark thanks to its perfectly circular shape. But the most remarkable feature of the crater lake isn't its water, it's what's below. There are layers of sediment with fossils and organic matter that hold the clue to the history of hundreds of thousands of years of climate change and evolution on Earth. Unlike most of northern Canada, which was scraped clean by glaciers, Pingui's deep sheltered basin preserved these layers and turned the lake into a kind of a natural time capsule. It's an Earth archive that helps researchers understand how the planet's climate and ecosystems have evolved over millennia. Reaching Pingui Crater requires serious planning and represents one of the most remote travel experiences available in North America. You'll typically fly to either of these two cities and then travel to the park by other means. There are no direct road connections to the crater due to its remote location. Once you reach the crater, you can try Arctic char fishing in some of the purest water on Earth. These fish have evolved in complete isolation for over 1 million years, making them genetically unique. The fishing is incredible, specifically because you will be casting a line into water that has remained virtually untouched since the meteorite impact. You can take up local Inuit cultural tours to learn Arctic survival skills, traditional hunting techniques, and explore the spiritual significance of this cosmic landmark. You will learn about astronomy from the Inuit perspective, traditional navigation methods, and how indigenous peoples have thrived in this seemingly harsh environment for thousands of years. The complete absence of light pollution, combined with the Arctic's clear air, creates some of the best conditions for astrography. It's also a perfect spot for aurora borealis during winter months. So which place stood out to you? Or which ones blew your mind? Or maybe you knew all of them? For me, Spotted Lake blew my mind for its psychedelicness. What about you? Have you been to any of these hidden gems? And which secret Canadian destination do you think we missed in our list? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, because I'm sure there are incredible places we haven't discovered yet. Don't forget to click like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. If the algorithm got it right, you will enjoy this video next. And remember, Canada is far more amazing than any of us imagined. Take care!